Hello, my cookies. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I have chicken Posole. Now, this is a fantastic soup. You can also make it with pork, but I'm doing a chicken version. It's kind of getting chilly here in New England, and on a cold day, I like soup. And this one also reminds me of spring and summer, and I love that. First things first, let's gather our ingredients. I'm going to use some chicken stock. You can use bone broth, chicken stock, low sodium, high sodium, doesn't matter. Typically, it's brothy. I like it to be a little heartier because we're in fall, so I'm not going to use as much, but you might need upwards of 3 quarts. I like some diced green chilies. I also want an onion, a poblano, at least 2 green bell peppers, cilantro, and hominy. Now, this is nixtamalized corn, and what that means is essentially corn that's put in a solution that kind of dissolves the exterior shell, and it's just a lot easier to digest, and you get more nutrition from it. It's delicious. It's kind of like popcorn, but for soups. I love it. So you're gonna need 2 15-ounce cans. All right, so you're gonna need 2 15-ounce cans of that. You're also going to need 1.5 to 2 pounds of chicken thighs. You can also do this with chicken breasts. Cook time will be vastly different. This is chicken thighs that I've cut into 3/4 to 1 inch pieces. Also, last but not least, garlic. You need a bunch of garlic. First things first, we got to cut up our onions and peppers. I'm going to saute some quickly, and that's going to be a nice topper onto our soup, and the rest will go into it. Just going to chop these peppers up. Remember, if you want a little spicier, include the ribs, because that's where the spice is, not the seeds. Everyone just thinks it's the seeds because that's where the seeds are. They're on like that ribby, white, pithy area. I got 2 green bell peppers here. Get our onion as well. I got a large onion here. You can use 2 small ones. It's going to chop this up. I'm going to saute some of these up in oil, take them out of the pan, and that's going to be my topper. To the fat left in the pan, I'm going to cook my chicken and add the rest of these and build my soup from there. But first, I want to make this soup topper, and I'm just going to use maybe a cup of this, 2 cups, saute it up, get it softened, take it out, set it aside. Let's heat a couple tablespoons of oil over medium-high heat. My oil is shimmering. I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of this. I'm going to season it with maybe 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. Just cook it up until it's softened. That could take upwards of 5 minutes, medium-high heat, depending on your stove. Now for the hominy, I have 2 about 15-ounce cans. If it's 15.5 ounce, you're fine. I'm going to open them, I'm going to drain them, and I'm not going to use the liquid that it comes in. All right, let's drain these. I'd also use about 4 garlic cloves. I got a whole bunch that are small, so I'm using more, but about 4 teaspoons of minced garlic is perfect here. All right, a couple more minutes on that. Let's mince up this garlic. Putting these in a separate bowl. Now over medium-high heat, I'm going to add my chicken thighs. I'm going to season up the chicken with about 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm looking to get a little bit of browning here, so medium-high to high heat is perfect. Don't worry about fully cooking the chicken here. Then we're going to add the rest of our onions and peppers. So if you notice, I didn't add more oil to the pan. I don't think I need to. Chicken thighs are pretty fatty. If you use chicken breasts, you can absolutely add a little bit more oil to the pan. And if you feel like your pan's a little dry, go ahead, add a little bit. Another couple minutes, hoping to get a little bit more browning. Remember, this is not non-stick. So this is stick. This is a stick pot. A lot of the browning is going to stick to it, not the food. Once we get some good browning, we'll add the veg, and that'll pick up all that tasty, delicious caramelization stuck to the bottom. All right, we got a little bit more browning on the bottom. I don't want this to take all day, so I'm going to add my veg here. Just going to soften it up. I'm also going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. This is going to be a hearty soup. I can't wait. I love this. All right, you're going to cook this veg. You want it to start to get soft. It's going to be about 5 minutes, upwards of 7. Medium-high heat. Actually going to add a teeny bit more oil. My pan's getting a little dry. Maybe 2 teaspoons. Oil is not going to get any browning up off. You need liquid. That's why you deglaze with something like wine or chicken stock or whatnot. Gets all that browning off the bottom of the pan, but I'm not doing that yet. My veg is softened. Now it's time to add our aromatics. I'm going to add these spicy chopped green chilies, 4-ounce can. Just going to give my dish a little more heat, and the garlic's going in now too. Just going to cook until you can smell it, 30 to 60 seconds. Garlic's cooked through. Now I'm going to deglaze with my chicken stock, making sure to scrape up all that delicious browning. Again, I'm using 2 quarts chicken stock. Now it's time to add the hominy. You can do this later. You can do it now. I like to do it now so it heats through. And as soon as we bring it up to a boil, we're good to go. I might end up simmering it for a few minutes. I just want to make sure my chicken is fully cooked through, but it should be. Bringing it up to a boil, it should bring it up. Delicious hominy. If you've never had hominy, I love it. While it's coming up to a simmer, I'm going to chop up some cilantro. You can't have a pozole without cilantro. I don't like putting it in early. It really puts a huge amount of flavor in the broth, kind of takes over. So I like adding it as a garnish at the end. I'm going to chop it up, not mince, chop. Oh, it smells so good. Feel bad for people that can't eat cilantro. I'm going to put a whole bunch with my topping. The rest I will stir into the soup at the end. I'm going to give a little taste, see what my salt level's at. Needs a little bit of salt, not much. I'm probably going to put in a half teaspoon of kosher salt. I didn't know how much salinity my chicken broth would add. There we go. You can always add more. We got a boil over here. We're going to simmer it for a couple minutes. Smell those flavors. Now that it's simmered for a couple minutes, my chicken is fully cooked through. I'm going to stir in some cilantro and plate it up. Look at this. It's phenomenal. Let's get some topping on here as well. So remember, we sauteed up some veg separately, and I got some extra cilantro here. We're going to pile that in. It's going to look nice. So the only thing it's doing here is looking nice. If you want to leave it in, you can. And we made sure that the soup will have texture aside from the hominy. Little squeeze of lime juice here to brighten everything up. Remember, we got those rich chicken thighs. They add a lot of fat, a lot of savoriness. Some acid will help balance that out. Look at that. Nice big hunk of chicken. A little cilantro in there too. Got some peppers. Got some hominy. Thighs are just tender. They just melt in your mouth. They shred. You get this really rich chickeny flavor, especially from the broth. And then the hominy comes in. It's kind of flavored the broth a little bit as well. It's a different type of corn flavor. I love it. I'm glad I set aside some of those peppers because the ones that were in there were kind of really soft, almost mushy. And it's nice to have a little bit more texture to go along with this hominy. I will say, the one thing this doesn't have that I wish it had a little bit more of was spice. I don't think I put enough heat into this. So if you want, like, chop up a jalapeno, sprinkle that on top with your topping. That will add some really nice flavor here. Now let me take a sip. Good for the soul. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you like what you see, follow me on YouTube, Twitch. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Take care.